Go.
What up?
Bolt
What up?
Bros.
Let's go. So this
Heck
is
yeah.
the pregame to talk about the Seahawks game, not the Broncos game.
Yeah, I think I used the wrong thumbnail. Sure did.
Wrong thumbnail.
Yes, you did.
Oh, well.
Whatever. I'll
But
fix
we
that.
are here. We are here.
Yeah.
But week 7, man. Week 7. It seems like the season's been flying by, and I don't like that.
No, it's
wild,
crazy, right? I mean, it's gone so quick, and here we are. We'll see
Quick.
where we go. Playing the Seahawks.
You see chickens.
Sea chickens.
I think I saw somebody talking about Seahawks and how it's like
Trash
really not even a
birds.
real thing at all. It's like not even a real bird or anything like that. And
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. It made me laugh. I was like, makes sense.
That's funny. That's good.
No, I love that.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the Seahawk should technically be a seagull, but no one wants to be the Seagulls, you know?
Yeah, the goals.
Yeah.
No,
The
that's not a very inspiring mascot, right?
That was I think it's an NHL team in San Diego, the Goals.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right,
LS, yeah. So I think that's pretty good. Go Broncos. Oh, wrong chat, man. Sorry, William, dude. Sorry, William.
What's the matter? Go Broncos.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. And I'll say that.
No, he's clowning because of the thumbnail.
Oh, yeah.
I know, that's hilarious.
But it's funny to be able to
Nice
see, and I
job.
know we're here to talk about the Chargers, but just a note, would be interesting to see if Russell Wilson is actually going to – is he the problem or is the offense the problem since he's not starting this weekend? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
So
yeah. Russ is sus, man. I mean, I think he's looked pretty bad across the board. Horrible.
I guess he's got a partially torn hamstring too, so he could be out for quite some minutes. So he says he's got Wolverine blood. Let's see if that's true or not. So
he said that for real,
right?
Yeah,
he really did say that. Yeah, he said
I got Wolverine blood. I was like, well, first off, Wolverine's not real.
Yeah, right.
Let's start there, Russ.
Jeez
Louise.
It's such a weirdo, bro. Like, so we're talking about the Seahawks, right? And my buddy, who's a big Seahawks fan, and by the way, I always call him the Seahawks when I talk to him as well too. But he always said he never really liked Russell Wilson at all, right? Because he was not a good locker room guy.
Yeah,
and all this. And I asked myself this question over and over again, and this is kind of the backstory to what I think I want to talk about specifically on this pregame, is that was Russell Wilson the problem or was Pete Carroll the problem?
Yeah.
To me, clearly Russell Wilson was the problem.
Yeah.
And Pete Carroll was the right guy to keep Russell Wilson in check. Now that he's gone, guys, no joke. Geno Smith was the worst-rated quarterback by The Athletic preseason. The worst-rated quarterback.
Right.
Yep.
And he's now what, like top 5 or 6 at this point, right? Or no, maybe not that high, but he's at least top 10.
Yeah.
So it was clearly not a Pete Carroll problem. It was a Russell Wilson problem. So locker room guy, there's so much coming out about him this week, and it's just really interesting to think about, right? So, look, Seattle's in a better place. They got a ton of picks. Denver's looking horrible. They gave up a ton. They're paying him way too much money. Pretty interesting conversation.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
crazy what Geno's been able to do. It's crazy. What were you going to say, Kyle?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, you look at Geno Smith's first 2 years at the Jets, he was trash, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just hardly did anything well there at all. And then, obviously for the next couple of years, he was just floating around teams after teams and had to develop that way as the sideline guy.
Yeah,
before actually holding the ball again, and starting. That is, he did a few things here and there, but never really had the job until now. And clearly, Pete Carroll's trained him up to be the guy that he is right now. So. It's wild.
He's been with Seattle for the last 2 years, I want to say, because he went from the Chargers to Seattle.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, Geno Smith has been, it seems like he's really been training under a lot of quarterbacks that he's been with. So, for instance, he's been with I think it was Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, and he's done a good job of learning from them too. So I think it's really, this is kind of where he's gotten to, and this is learning from those guys. Maybe he's starting to find ways to be able to be that good. Yeah, I think he was a second round pick back in the days. So he's kind of really became a much stronger quarterback for sitting on the bench. So we'll see. I mean, long season still ahead. It's only seventh week now. So we'll see how it tends to go. So, but let's just jump into it. We're already here talking about the sea chickens and
the sea chickens.
I was going to just raffle off some just kind of like small little like talking points here about who they're all about. Currently right now, and I know we chatted a lot about this on Wednesday, kind of let's talk about the Seahawks and kind of what they could do and what they're at right now. I mean, we know Pete Carroll, he's a solid coach. And just like what you guys are saying, he could coach anybody to be a relevant quarterback, just like Geno Smith. So currently, as an offense, they're 12th in the league and 14th in the league for passing. I never would have thought that. I never would have thought they would have got to that point.
Right.
That's incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Geno Smith, he's thrown 1,502 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, 108.1 rating.
Huh? It's crazy.
Like
crazy.
What is happening here?
It brings me back to that Drake song. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Right? Is it Drake?
Yeah.
That's Drake, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you for real? I mean, his passing yards, 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns. Just to give you an example, Herbert's got 1,716 passing yards and 10 touchdowns.
Weird.
It's Herbert.
So weird. Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. I would just say this. I think they simplified the offense for Geno and made it very easy for him to be successful.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good coaching, guys. Like that's very good coaching. Just goes to show you how good Pete Carroll is. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing is though too, he's got 2 really good receivers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean,
Lockett. Yep.
Both very dangerous receivers. And so, I mean, he's got a couple good guys, and then on top of that, he's got Kenneth Walker, who's starting as their rookie running back.
Yep.
He's had a couple good games and everything. I mean, they're 11th in the league for rushing. I'm going to point out, like, it's crazy that they are 11th in the league for rushing with a terrible offensive line. Like
100%. Yep.
Terrible offensive line. And they've had a lot of injuries at the running back position with Rashad Penning being out. And then Kenneth Walker coming in. I know there was another injury that they had to a running back, but the thing is, though, they're showing that they have depth in that position and still being strong at it. So really amazing to be able to see all around. I mean, they only have one player on the offensive line who's obviously a rookie, Abraham Lucas at right tackle at 63 on PFF. So it's not like they have elite guys on that line.
No, they don't.
They just got a really good offensive scheme, and I think Pete Carroll's really the head behind that. So.
Well, he keeps it simple, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep it simple. Let's not do anything super crazy. Just keep it simple, and good things happen, right? I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
100%.
Exactly. But the one disturbing thing that I have about the Seahawks offense, though, for them, though, like, I mean, it's hopeful for us, those Chargers, is that they have terrible red zone percentages. They are like almost dead last in both those in touchdowns. They're 29th there, and then for touchdowns, and then percentages 31st. So they're really struggling in that red zone for some strange reason. So
interesting.
So like, I mean, despite Geno Smith actually lighting it up, they can't seem to punch it in, man.
Interesting. Yeah. And maybe that really just comes back to their offensive line, being shaky. I think they give up about 14 sacks already this year.
Big time.
And defensively, they have 14 sacks. So they're basically dead even on both sides. There's no positive on both sides. So if you don't have a strong O-line that can push a guy in, like what we did with Austin Eckler, literally lifting him up off the ground and throwing him into the end zone against the Broncos.
That's called the fastball special.
Off the ground, I swear.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that makes a big difference for goal line situations or red zone situations. We'll see. We'll see how this works and how it attacks and how they attack us. I know for their defense, I mean, they're one of the worst in the league defensively. So 30th in league, giving up about 410 yards a game.
100%. Yep.
That's pretty bad. 22nd versus the pass, giving about 245 yards a game. 31st in the league versus the run, 165 yards a game. So they have a lot of things out there that could show that we could have a really, really solid game all around. And a very balanced game, to be honest.
Right.
Or we could end up being like high pass, high run, and we could talk about our strategy. And I think that we do have a sound strategy for this one with all the injuries that we have, which we could kind of transition into that. I don't know if Kyle or
I was actually just looking at that just a few seconds ago. Actually, I was literally looking at it as you were chatting with me. I don't think Keenan Allen will play.
Nope,
which is sad. Well, actually, he hasn't been ruled out yet completely, has he?
No, I don't think. No, he's still game time decision. But like, I think
yep.
our assumption for sure, I think, should be that he's not going to play.
I agree, especially since we signed Bandy.
Exactly.
Bandy is going to be the guy. Now, here's the thing. So I just want to say one thing about Bandy. Bandy's fantastic. I know he's a fan favorite. Everyone's so excited to see him out there. Wes Welker type, all the above, right? But he's not Keenan Allen. He's not, So temper expectations. Don't get me wrong. I love Bandy. I think he's great. He's a great story. Yeah. I think he does a lot of good things. But again, he doesn't run routes like Keenan Allen, a guy that's been in the league for 10 plus years, right? So, he's a work in progress. So just understand that he'll get there. And by the way, guys, in the chat, throw your questions out there. If you have some thoughts, questions, just, we'll get to all of your thoughts and questions, as we go through this. But Josh Palmer will be out. Parham's going to be out. Kelly's out, obviously. Hopkins is out. So our kicker will be our boy that drawing a blank on his name all of a sudden.
Bertolet.
Bertolet, yes.
Yeah.
And guys, he did great. So, but I look at the Seahawks injuries, man. They got a lot of injuries as well, too, man. I mean, it's not good, And look, this is the part of the season where you need bye weeks. You need to get healthy. Yeah. You got to make decisions, right? And I think the big. So if you guys saw my video on Keenan Allen specifically on the injury side, look, our second half of the season is much more difficult than the first half of the season, right? So, we need people to be healthy the second half of the season over right now. And you could argue, hey, look, they're a subpar team. I don't see that. I think Seattle is a very good team. They got a rookie corner that's just picking people off left and right. What's his name again? I'm drawing a blank. Rookie.
Woolen,
Tariq Woolen. Was he like a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick? The guy's just killing it right now.
Well, and the thing is, though, the Seahawks love to have tall corners too, and he's a 6'4" corner too.
Yeah.
And so I've been a big fan of them, in which, ironically, Antonio Cromartie was one of our taller corners that we had, and was an absolute stud for us, and actually signed a 1-day contract to
retire his number with us.
His number, or I don't know if it's his number, but he retired as a Charger.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he just retired as a Charger officially.
Yep. Yeah. So, he's a stud. And so, I mean, tall corners like that, man, I've been a big fan of them. I mean, I think our tallest corner is got to be Michael Davis. And, and going back to last game, when J.C. Jackson got benched for the second half, Michael Davis came in.
Mike Davis.
Yep. Russell Wilson, I think, only threw 19 yards on us, which equated to actually negative because the amount of sacks that we had on him that actually led to a negative 9 yards or something crazy like that. So
100%.
That's something to be able to look at this game for us also too. Now, once again, I'm kind of jumping ahead on the strategy, but what I'm saying is that Mike Davis came in and killed it for us, and it changed the way that defense operated. I'm hoping, once again, J.C. Jackson's going to be able to kind of find his way, and I think it's just really going to be one play that makes him just change all of a sudden. One ring to rule them all. One play that'll rule them all. That'll put everything as a fully operational ship here for us.
So the funny thing about J.C. Jackson, though, and James, you and I, and Kyle, we even saw this video about him. Look, the thing about J.C. Jackson, he's very good at man coverage. He's very bad at zone.
Huge.
Which is interesting. Yeah. So my thought is man him up against our number one receiver, period. Just let him be the guy against him. But again, the argument with that is a lot of running plays are just to get the corner off of the right or left hand side, right? And so that's why you want them in zone so they can help with the run game or run stopping on the edge. So it's one of those weird situations where, yeah, you don't really want him to play man, but that's really what he's good at. And clearly he's struggling with the zone calls that Brandon Staley's throwing out there right now, which is really interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I hope JC has a bounce back day. And we go. By the way, Zach, I love what you said about Cromartie and Leggett. Yeah, we signed them for 1 day. They came out today, I believe. That we signed him for 1 day, and we're gonna retire his Chargers, which I think is really cool. So
I love seeing out there on the field, just like hanging out, though. That'd be cool.
Yes, 100%, which I think is so cool, right? And Cromartie, my God, dude, that guy was just an absolute savage. So, anyways, that's blast from the past, not relevant to today technically, but it's really cool news that I want to talk about. So I just think it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing too, Jamal Williams also, he's going to have his Hall of Fame ceremony at this halftime. And what's cool about this is that you're starting to see those San Diego Charger-based players starting to be able to be under the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think people need to stop separating the Chargers, 100%. San Diego Chargers versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Guess what? We're still the Chargers.
We're the Chargers, yes.
Yeah, that's what matters most. And so it's exciting to think maybe at some point, maybe it's going to be, I don't know, like this year, maybe it's going to be next year, but you would love to see Phillip Rivers in that ring too, and be able to put him in the Hall of Fame for us too. And I think he's going to get legitly in the Hall of Fame, but I think that we need to have his retirement contract soon. So, I think we talked a lot about kind of what their defense is, kind of some strategery for this game. Strategery. I couldn't say that for a second, but we could talk about what our thoughts is and what we could potentially do for this game. I think some people are throwing out there, Bandy's got to get a certain amount of targets. I think that's a great idea. One thing I think about Bandy, he's a good guy to get separation for like a third down catch. And so that's exactly what Keenan Allen was for us and is for us. He's that guy to be able to get to the spot and be open and ready for the pass. And so I look for Bandy to be that guy this week. I mean, we don't have Joshua Palmer. We got Mike Will out there. We don't have, obviously Guyton's been out for the season. Things are getting a little bit more thin for us at the wide receiver position. Yes, so these young guys need to step up for us. Last week, I think we didn't do that well with the pass, obviously, because the Broncos defense did a fantastic job of locking us down. And
Agreed.
Once again, the Broncos offense or defense makes other offenses look terrible. And I think that's we had to take what we could get. I think each play was like 3 yards or 4 yards a play or something stupid like that for Herbert. Like, it wasn't a pretty game, but guess what? We found a way to win. So
100%.
Offensively, like I said earlier, Seahawks are one of the worst against the run. So Isaiah Spiller is going to be in this game. I'm excited to see how he goes and see how many touches he gets.
I want to see at least 10 touches. I want to see 10 touches.
Agreed.
And I think Sony Michel should be on the sideline, but you never know, right? I think they like Michel a lot. Don't get me wrong. He's been there, he's done that, but I'll see, I would love to see 10 touches from Spiller. Some screenplays, just all the above, right? I would just love to see a lot of that. So we'll see what he gets. He's a rookie. One thing I would say, the turnover margin is an important thing to discuss as well too.
Agreed.
Seahawks and Chargers are both +2 on the turnover margin, which is really interesting because the Seahawks have definitely turned the ball over quite a bit. They've gotten a lot of takeaways as well, but sloppy gameplay is what I can say about the Seahawks too. And I really think even with the Chargers, right, we've done fairly well, and I'm liking yards after the catch. We do fairly well not putting the ball on the ground, which has been really cool to see. So interesting to see the turnover margin going into this game. We're even at this point, so that's good to make note of before this game.
Yep, most definitely. Kyle, you got any other things out there that might be good for offensive side of things?
Well, I was actually going to say more for Spiller. Like, I really want to see him more. I want to see a return for a touchdown from him. That'd be incredible. The That way, like, 10 touches, that's asking for a lot from a running back 3 position.
Yep.
We may see 10 from Sonny Michel, but we'll probably get like maybe 5 from Spiller, I would say. But obviously, running back 3 is more of a returner kind of like position. So I think that's kind of where we're going to see some good action from him. And if he gets actually a good breakaway on special teams, that's going to be what's going to elevate him above Sonny Michel, I think.
Yeah, and I don't, because I know it's generally like a running back 3, but actually DeAndre Carter pretty much has that all locked down. So I don't
that's his
really
gig.
think that he's going to be in that position. Just because DeAndre Carter, I think, is a faster guy too. So I think he's got the punts and kickoff returns, which should be interesting to see if they throw him out there, because I know they did have Roundtree for a little while as a returner too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
maybe he's
that's
considered as
what
a
I'm saying.
backup.
Like they rotate, like it's Carter or Roundtree, or in this case now Spiller. So
yeah, and I know Roundtree's obviously not activated in this because Spiller ended up beating him out and everything too. My concern about Spiller though is that he's a rookie, and reason why is that these rookies love to try to extend the ball out a little bit further than they really should instead of playing smart.
That's when they fumble the ball. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And so we've had kind of history with that. Joshua Kelly, we had a history with that with Eckler. We had a history with that with Roundtree of trying just that extra effort and then finding a way to fumble the ball at the wrong time of the game. So I'm not trying to curse this game by any means, and I don't want that to happen. So please don't start now and do that. So we've been really good about not doing that. And you could even see how Joshua Kelly and how he runs. He runs a lot more when he knows he gets contact. Can't talk. Contact. He ends up kind of holding the ball with two arms and really holding it close to his body. So he does a very good job with that. So Isaiah Spiller, to me, is a very patient kind of runner too. And I think that'll be an interesting thing to see how that dimension works. And so we'll see how that pans out for us this game and how many touches he ends up getting. So in DZ, that's probably, to me, I think that Kyle kind of hit it right on the head. I think it's possibly about 4 to 5 touches. I think him and Sonny Michel probably have an even amount, in my opinion. So
well, and I think since the Seahawks are so bad at stopping the run, I think we could see a lot of running plays this game 100%. Specifically. And which really in reality makes a lot of sense, right? Because we're still really trying to get our running game going correctly, with all the issues we have going on the line and whatnot, right? So I would love to see 10 personally, just because I really want to see what he can do. I love seeing like young legs get out there and just make things happen. And he's going to be hungry. But you're right. That's a good point, right? To bring up the fact that this is when fumbles start happening. This is when errors start to be made. Going back to when we talk about another rookie, I want to talk about Mike Bandy for just 1 second. Is that I would like to see 10 Mike Bandy touches this week. And the reason why is I think they're really going to key on Mike Williams, right? They're going to focus on him 100%. They're going to probably put the rookie Woolen on him. Yeah. And probably have safety, on top. So they're going to try and eliminate him from the field as much as possible. Having said that, it's a little difficult to do that because he's so good at the 50-50 ball, and Herbert and Williams, are so on the same page. But I think Bandy will probably have a lot of open plays, especially for third down targets moving forward. So I'm fairly certain they probably coached him up and said, hey, look, man, find the open spot in the zone, be ready for third down targets, so on and so forth. But I would also say I think Everett's going to have a good game because he's going to have to be one of those guys, especially since Parham's going to be out because of concussions. Yeah. But again, it's really it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. But that's why I think Bandy will get 10 touches potentially this week. And I really hope they use him in an interesting way, right? I'd love to see some jet sweeps, some interesting little formations, maybe some bubble screens to the side, something of that nature. I really want to see something unusual with Bandy. So. We'll see what they end up doing, moving forward with this game.
Yeah. And even to say an X factor, Gerald Everett, how you were chatting about that he actually played for the Seahawks too. So would you put it as a revenge game? Who knows?
Yep. Yep.
And I've kind of been going back and forth on one of my fantasy teams of putting in Gerald Everett or putting in George Kittle. And I'm kind of back and forth on both of them, but something tells me that once again, if I look at the defense that the Seahawks have and the amount of pass yards and total yards they've been giving up, and then the quarterback they're going against with Justin Herbert, you kind of think he could get a lot of looks because of the thin amount of wide receivers that we have at this game. So
100%.
But is once again, their weakness is the running game. We could essentially potentially run the ball 40 times, like what Anthony said.
Yeah.
And just keep running the ball down their face, right through the a-hole. You know what I'm saying? Right through
the a-hole. I love that you said that. I was actually going to make a joke about that too. The good news about running the ball like that, if we wanted to, it keeps their offense off the field. We chew clock. Secondarily, it puts Herbert in a position where he's not in a spot to be hurt going into the bye, right? Again, we all know his rib cartilage fracture injuries. If we can just smash the ball right down their throat, it's an ugly game. That's the Seahawks, or that's the Steelers' way of playing football for the most part, right? But it keeps things simple, and we don't have to deal with having more potential injuries on the offensive side of the ball, right? It keeps things interesting. So just a thought about running the ball 40 times.
Yeah.
I would predict 30, maybe not 40, but I think 30 makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 40 plays on run is pretty heavily like one-sided. I think for the most part, you usually get about 65 plays a game. Is that right? 60-ish, something like that. So
60 to 70, 60 to 70. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 60 to 70. So, I mean, that would be pretty heavy, but I mean, it would essentially put it almost as a 50-50 situation or close to a 50-50 situation. So, who knows? We'll see how it all pans out. I think it's just really going to see how the game goes and how the flow of the game goes. If we see that, hey, we're getting big rips, 5 yards a carry, hey, you might want to just keep doing that. You might want to just keep going after that. So, any other last little notes there, Kyle, at all on the offense or anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, man, we just got to keep it in their face there. Look, I mean, there's not a whole lot of thoughts right there now. So I think we're good to move to the defense now.
Yeah. You want to chat on the defense?
Let me see here.
Yeah, I was going to Nwosu on the defense.
Right.
For the Seahawks, which is really interesting to see that, right? And you're like, oh man, our old boy. Pretty interesting. So
yeah. And he's having a good year so far.
3 sacks.
So I mean, it's I kind of was bummed that he ended up leaving, but I understood where Brandon Staley's head was at. You get a guy like Khalil Mack, who once again, Andy did a video on Khalil Mack. It's weird how people said that he was a bust and that he was washed up, and that guy is highly productive. Like,
he's crazy,
amazing for us. So I think it's a lot of bitter fans possibly too. So, but he's killing it. He's doing well. But Kyle, chat a little bit on some of the defensive strategy for us this week.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about it on Wednesday, but Nwosu being on there is going to be a good thing because he's going to know a little bit more about how our offense goes a little bit and the strength of the players and stuff, but they got a lot of sacks, this year. Like they're crushing it on the lines and stuff, and because he's having a good game, like in their defense, as opposed to their freaking offensive line, their defense is actually doing pretty all right, like aside from the run game, so I'm just excited to see that. Like obviously we're going to try it. And I think that's exactly why we should actually run the ball a lot more because their defense is getting to the quarterback a lot better. So,
Yeah, I mean, they're 30th in the league versus the rush. I mean, they're pretty bad against the pass. I mean, they're one of the worst defenses in the league. I mean, I was just looking over the past 3 games, and I mean, I think they get scored on the most, I believe, in the league.
Pretty bad, yeah.
I mean, they had that 48-45 game against the Lions, but I think the Lions have the worst defense in the league. Saints scored 39 on them the week after getting scored 45 on them. They do a good job of containing the Cardinals last week, 19-9. But once again, you start thinking, okay, defensively, how they are. I mean, it was Kyler Murray, the guy who runs around looking like he's a little kid with your cell phone and you're trying to get it back to him.
Yeah.
And
it's so funny when he runs. Like, oh my God.
It's so funny. But he ran 100 yards on him. And so
he did. Yeah.
crazy to see. I mean, I think they had almost about 145 yards or so on the ground against them. So it's not like they're getting any better, and it's not showing that they're progressively getting better in categories. They're still just playing kind of soft, bad defense. And so, our strategy on our side, how to, you know, our defensive side of things, I think we just really have to attack the O line. Like Austin Blythe is their center, and he's a 46.8 ranked PFF center, which is pretty bad. The tackles on the end are very young. They're susceptible to penalties. They're susceptible to making the wrong choice. So we really have to attack the O line as much as we possibly can, which we did a fantastic job against the Broncos last week. I mean, I think about the Derwin James sack and the Drew Tranquil sacks. I mean, Drew Tranquil just attacking the middle of the line and just having a clean sack to get Russell Wilson. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And
so, I think we did a great job of calling games or defensive plays last week. But I think offensively we were garbage. I'm just seeing a lot of people in the chat thread talking about how Lombardi doesn't like to ride the hot hand.
Yep.
And, his play calling last week was horrible. I thought he did a terrible job last week. But defensively, we played, Brandon Staley called a great game. He dialed up those blitzes at the right time. And, he did what he needed to do to win, But just going back on points allowed, the Chargers give up 25 points a game and the Seahawks give up 27 points a game. All right. I don't want to see a close game. Like, I want to see it. I want to see at least a win by 10 points. Like, anyways, that's one of the things I would say specifically at this point.
Yeah. Strategy, Kyle. Would you agree that we need to stop the explosive plays?
Yes, obviously, 1,000%. I mean, we've got to lock down DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. 100%. Like, and that's going to be a biggest thing. Like, I mean, what we talked about this on Wednesday is that this needs to be the game that J.C. Jackson lights up, and he just actually bounces back. Because he straight up was freaking. He was talking about it all week, how defeated he was. But then this is a great opportunity for him to get his groove back, get his hands on that ball. And, even if he has a couple of disruptions, I don't necessarily need a pick. I would want to pick for sure. But if he just goes maybe 3 targets and only has 1 reception on him or whatever like that, then he's going to have his confidence back, and starting into the bye week, then he'll be able to have a little bit more. And then just, through the bye week, he'll be able to practice and actually know that he's still got it, so.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game all around. I mean, this is one of those games that you start thinking, hey, they're 3-3, we're 4-2, are the Seahawks for real? And we will see how this one pans out. I think for us, we have to attack their weaknesses as much as you possibly can. We need to be able to play simple, sound-based football, which I think we've been doing very well. Now we need to, once again, Lombardi is always the topic of discussion every single time. Way too conservative, not playing to the strengths of this team. Once again, I've been saying a lot, hey, we need to stop playing to the opposition's level of their play. We need to play 100%. Our type of football. And I think, to me, we could attack a lot with the run. We could basically attack a little bit with the pass, get Mike Williams open somewhere or another. Woolen is kind of one of those guys. Is he a Pat Surtain kind of corner? Well, he is kind of turning into a very, very strong corner for the Seahawks, but I'm not sure if he's a Pat Surtain kind of corner like the Broncos had last week. So I would expect Mike Williams to get a little bit more involved. I expect Gerald Everett to have a pretty solid game, get a lot of targets. And I expect Austin Eckler to be able to get a lot of targets too on top of that. So
yeah, definitely.
So we'll see.
One of the things that I've always said, and I don't understand why we don't do this more frequently, is have 2 running back sets. I don't understand why we don't do that. Was it the Thursday night game I saw? They had these 2 running back sets always just up flanking behind the quarterback. And I don't understand why we don't do that more frequently, especially with the RPO. It's so easy because, one guy be the lead blocker to the right, gets out, lead blocks for somebody to the right side or left side. And it's odd to me that we're not doing that more frequently, especially with how many running backs we have in the tank right now. And so I would love to see that. I don't expect it, which is frustrating, but I would like to see that, right? And so I don't know. I feel like it's a nice matchup, change up for sure, right? But again, it's one of my personal gripes in the run game specifically, and I think that would work out very well with this game against the Seahawks defense that's given up a lot of plays and a lot of yardage on the ground. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Lombardi will be a little more creative this week. I guess that's my point. I would like to see Lombardi be more creative. I feel like he's become extremely vanilla in his play calling, especially in the run game, right? It's up the middle. There's not a whole lot to the edge, and that's a problem.
Yep. Well, even to say like those times where I love that, Zach.
Yeah. I mean, they get a running start, right? They'll
soar a little bit up off the ground,
Yeah, they float. They float a little bit. That's about it.
But yeah, and the thing is, though, he does need to find a way. Lombardi needs to find a way to stop playing simple, kind of crummy play calling type of play calls. Like one thing I always go back to is that they had that play where they rolled out Herbert out of the pocket. They had Eckler right in front of him. He could choose kind of which way he wants to go, and bam, great situation. You could get the first down with Herbert's legs, or you could get more with Eckler, and things like that just need to happen. So I don't know. Kind of last little thoughts a little bit on this game, Kyle. I don't know if anything kind of comes to mind or anything, just something that you would like to see in this. And then we'll start going over some of the questions and everything.
I really don't want to see Herbert run out there and get that first down. Like, I would rather him not, put himself out there and risk further injury, But
sure. And then he's been smart about not taking those hits and not taking that run too. So I think he's been fine on that sense. But it's just what it is showing a threat of that he can run if he wants to run, kind of thing.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true.
100%.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm honestly like I just hope we don't have like a super back and forth game like we've had like the past couple games. Like, no more of these heart attack games, bros. Like, dude, like I want to see us win by at least 2 scores. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But it might be a little bit too hard to ask because the Chargers just like to keep it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the truth. I mean, it's like it, and I kept saying when I was at SoFi on Monday, I said, we're going to win by 35. Well, that didn't work out well. We won by a freaking field goal.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to see that. And I think if we put pound for pound, position for position, Chargers are probably better in the sense of offensively and defensively. So you would think that they would find a way to be able to hold them down a little bit more to where we could have a potential blowout, which it would be nice to go in the bye week instead of having, a griping of fans that we're winning ugly or whatever or anything like that. I think that's kind of what I know I've talked a little bit with Aether a little bit about that fans are super mad about ugly wins, but a win. But it would be nice if we came in with a sure thing locked up in pretty much a one game by, say, quarter or whatnot. But how this one pans out, because the Chargers love, once again, the T-shirt that we talked about Chargers, Chargering, and we find to be able to make things way too than they need to be.
Yeah, and I think to your point, the reason why fans are so frustrated is that bottom line, the games have been super close, but you want to see like the Bills or the Chiefs when they just blow somebody out. And we haven't seen that this year with the Chargers. That's what I think people are very frustrated with, is that we're just very, we're getting it done, but not in a very convincing manner, right? That's the frustrating part, especially with a season when you're coming in with these super high expectations and expecting blowouts, and we're not seeing blowouts, right? So that's why the fans get so frustrated with it.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, hey, we got our first.
I agree. I just put a comment in there said, "Hey,
well, you good?
I don't know if I have a delay on my like that, but
you definitely do.
It's a little bit of a delay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, that's all good. But I
Well,
was
let's
just
get
gonna
into
say last little thing too.
Aether's
I mean,
comment here, though.
said something
Yeah.
about that comment: tough wins build character and heart attacks. And so that's kind of what Sweet Jumps was talking a little bit about, where he's like, defense is making me a little less anxious this season. But at the same side, I think we all still are relatively anxious because our tough wins require our defense to find a way to close it out for us. And that's kind of how it's been for us for most of these wins this season. So I hope that it's not going to be one of those heart attack games, because I'm tired of having free cardio, but I don't mind it in the sense, but I don't like this to be free cardio like what we always tend to get with these Chargers game. I want a sure win, and I would like a sure win going into the bye week. So let's jump into some questions, though.
Yeah. All right, so we got from Aether here. First, Herbert is baby Chargers fans, needs to relax. You can't compare him with Mahomes and Allen. Mahomes has been in the NFL for 6 years with playoff success. Allen for 5 years. Same thing. Herbert is still young, and that's a very good point. Because this is his third year. And I kind of talked a little bit about this with Aether in Madden. Oh, in the simulation that I had, and I think honestly the truth is with Herbert, he's it was a crying shame that he was not able to get in the playoffs last year, because
big time.
The merit of any quarterback is actually tested in the playoffs alone. I mean, the whole regular season is one thing, but how good they are, in my opinion, matters, to how well they do in the playoffs. That's where I think that the true colors shine through. And that's why I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is not that great of a quarterback. I'm just throwing that out there, because he's had multiple opportunities and he just can't make it happen at that 2-minute drill. He's like, it's just too much pressure for him or something.
Yeah. There's some quarterbacks that just don't know how to find a way to be able to win the game in the end. And, the thing is, though, with the Niners, their defense has been their biggest strengths, and their run game has been their strengths. And, different thing. I mean, I think with Herbert, last year, if you want to say, and on paper, it doesn't say that we had a playoff game, but we had a playoff game against the Raiders last year, which it was win or go home. We lost, sucks, but I think things are different now. I think things should hopefully get better. Now, once again, the second half of the season gets pretty gnarly. So, hold on to your butts. Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, that's one thing, you're right. And Herbert is young, but he's getting there, and he's shown flashes of brilliance. And I think that's part of why everyone has to sit back and just realize this is his third year, right? So there's a lot more that he needs to learn. Having said that, both of those teams, Mahomes and also Allen, they have very good teams around them, right? I think this is really the second year where he's really had a good team around Justin Herbert as well, right? Because it's make no mistake, the thing that's great about the NFL in general and in football in general is it's not an individual sport, right? You can have, in basketball specifically, right? You can have Michael Jordan on your team, you're going to win every damn game, right? You're just going to win because it's Michael Jordan, right? Or, you can name a number of players off, right? But in football, you cannot have a bad line. You cannot have bad wide receivers. You cannot have bad running backs, right? For the offense to perform correctly, you have to have an entire team around that person to succeed. And we're getting there, right? And that's the thing that's been tough. And that's why the injuries for us matter, because we're not as deep as those other two teams that Aether is pointing out, right? Those teams have years of success, and that proliferates and piles on each other. And that's what we're trying to build. I'll make one other thought on this as well, too. Guys, how much better is our special teams this year?
Oh, man.
So good.
Think about that for a second. And again, one of the things we talked a little bit about Spiller playing. What was one of the things that Brandon Staley said? Spiller has to get better at special teams. So in order to play, you need to contribute to special teams. I like the fact that they're making that a priority across the board, and that's maybe a determining factor of how somebody's going to start or not start in a game. So I know it's a little bit off the topic, but it just goes to show you depth across the board. And that's really what Aether's getting at right here, right? In my opinion, is that we don't have the same depth as those other teams have. But that starts with the culture of the team succeeding as a whole, and being a complete team on all three phases of the game. So that's my take on that as well, too.
Yeah, I'll even say one other thing on top of that, too. Both of those teams have two head coaches that have been head coaches for a pretty long time.
Very long time, yes.
Sean McDermott for the Bills, and then I always call him a walrus, but he always looks like a walrus for me for some reason. But yeah.
Oh, he definitely looks like a
Andy
walrus.
Reid.
Andy Reid.
And Andy Reid, I mean, they are experienced guys, and Brandon Staley's a young, inexperienced guy as a head coach. But I think the thing is, though, and Aether and I have had two conversations about this, just it's in the right direction with this team, and not just for what we're playing on the field, but I think also the draft, getting the right guys into this team, creating a good, solid culture as a Chargers organization, which I think that's the reason why he was hired here, is to change the culture of this team. And I think he's done a good job of changing this culture. So it's a progression. And I do expect us to get to the playoffs this year. I do very much expect it. So we'll see how that pans out, but let's do it. Let's keep going. Let's get this win today. Go into the bye feeling good.
That's right.
5-2 sounds better than 4-3.
4-3.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't like it. Don't like it.
I mean, don't like the sound of that, guys. So, and guys, put your predictions of the score down in the chat as well, too, guys. I know we have quite a few folks here. Smash that like as well. It does help with us on our, algorithm, getting more Charger fans to see some of our videos as well, too. So smash that like. What other questions we got here, Kyle?
We got a couple of game plan things here. You got another Aether comment. I like this one, too. The game plan for actually today, offense has been the balance over 150 yards rushing, 250 passing. Defense stretches dominate the struggling Seahawks O-line. Yeah, we talked a lot about that one. Yeah, so that's kind of what we want to see. Run that ball around and just control that clock. It's kind of unfortunate that we haven't actually seen Herbert pass for over 400 yards this season, though. So I would love to see that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
it'd be killer to be able to see that. I mean, Herbert's had the most 300-yard games in the amount of games that he's played in the NFL, which is pretty incredible to see. It is interesting how many records that Herbert has broken. Somebody pointed out that the organization, as the Chargers, are a 500, win to loss rate organization, and Herbert is a 500 quarterback too. So there's this level of this teetering of the Chargers where we could hopefully be a winning franchise. It's just, I think we're getting so close to that point of where we could really be an extremely reliably winning base team. I think we got the right guys and on the team. I think we have some of the right coaches. I'll say Lombardi is still a suspect in my opinion. But I think it would be awesome if Herbert could throw like a 400-yard game. Like, I think it'd be killer. I'd be killer. And this is a game where it could happen. I mean, once again, defensively, they're terrible, both sides. So, attack the weaknesses of the offense or their defense and make it a strength for us for our offense. So that'd be killer. 51-0 Bolts. Let's do it, Zach. I'm in. Let's go.
51-0. Yo,
let's go.
Yeah. Can that happen in the NFL?
Yeah, definitely can.
College.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I think you call that a donkey punch, right? Isn't that called the donkey punch?
Man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shoot.
Actually, what does Vegas have us right now? Is it 5 points?
I think it's 5. Yeah. I think it's 5.
I think it's 5, something like that, right? Yeah.
Very nice.
Very interesting.
Okay. Next question here. So Zach Benson got one here. This one kind of hurts a little bit. This heart attack. Anyone rewatch the Steelers game from last year? How is Herbert not being considered as the number one weapon in the NFL? He's been being handcuffed in this offense, and we might still win a ring this year.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, that Steelers game last year was kind of that was another heart attack kind of game right
Yeah,
there.
we were there.
Yeah, we were there, man. That was a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was also like the Browns game too, last year.
Right.
I mean, that game was
Browns,
insane too.
Yep.
Like it just all of a sudden was like, forget the defense. Let's just play to just score a ton of points and just make it happen kind of thing. And that's how both of those games were. I mean, you could even go back, and I'm going to say, even though it ended up as a loss, but you say that Raiders-Chargers game, week 18, I mean, the throws he made and the long fourth down throws that he made to get touchdowns were that was something I've never seen as a quarterback be able to do. Like, the guy's an absolute stud. Now, once again, is it a rib injury that's kind of creating a little bit of a difference in shifting of the offense? I mean, Lombardi, I think, is kind of being a little bit of a hindrance on growing this offense out a little bit more, because currently his offense 202 is not looking good, because the offense 101 was looking a lot better, in my opinion, from last year. So who knows what it really is? But I mean, Herbert's got his respect. I mean, in the NFL, I think a lot of people respect the guy, and
big time. Yep.
I don't know. 500-yard game today. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Holy smokes. Yeah, but who does he throw the ball to, right? I mean, and, and
exactly.
bottom line, they're going to look, make no mistake about it. The Seahawks are going to try to, well, it'd be really interesting to see how they play defensively against us this week, right? Because they haven't stopped the run. So are they going to stack men in the box, or are they going to say, oh, well, let's just open it up and let them throw the ball against us, and hopefully we get some takeaways, right? It's a bit of a risk, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how they specifically play against us, right? And I think our running game is finally getting to where it needs to be. My prediction is they'll probably just go pretty vanilla offense or defense against us, for the most part, and just hopefully they have a bend don't break type of scenario, which is pretty much what most NFL teams do anyways. Keep everything in front of you, get tight in the red zone. That's what they want to do, right? Red zone stoppages are pretty big, but they're really not good at that right now either. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But again, to your point, Herbert's also hurt, right? I think there's a lot to be said about that. And I think this is one of the gripes I have against our coaching staff is we get very conservative at times with some of our players. I mean, I think our injury lists keep piling up. Yeah, maybe they need to report them. But with Herbert specifically, they are just, he's like a China doll. We're trying not to touch him or hurt him in any way and keep him as healthy as possible for the preseason, which is or the postseason, which is exactly who we think we're going to go to this season, right? So we're being conservative. I guess that's the point, right? Landing my plane, we're being too conservative with Herbert, but I can understand why they are, but I don't like it as a fan. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the conservativeness is like only stepped up because of his rib injury.
100%.
Yeah. I mean,
yep.
I don't really know if he's been actually that conservative like all the time before that. It's just that rib injury just changed everything about how we're going to play.
And again, we don't have Allen out there too. Allen is such a big weapon. I mean, say what you want to say about Mike Williams. Mike Williams is great, but he's not Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's very good at moving the sticks on third down. Parham was good at that as well too, but now his concussion problems are starting to seep back in, and he's off the field. Palmer's not going to be there. That's why I think Bandy's going to be he's going to be really the number 2 target for the most part, I would assume.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not number 2, maybe number 3 or 4, right? But we're going to see a lot of Eckler. We're going to see a lot of running backs. I think we're going to see a lot of running backs played. So I don't know that 400-yard game could be tough. We'll see how that plays out. But
total yards.
It could be tough.
400 total yards. Yeah. Maybe total yards.
Yes.
Yeah, total. Yeah. Usually it's 400. It's like average, something like that, around about that. So
100%. Yeah.
So,
but
okay, Aether's got
anything else?
question.
I know Kyle needs to go to the stadium here pretty soon.
I need to get wrapped up here. So I guess we'll just do like one more of these comments, and then we'll just close it out here, I think. So that'd be good. Yeah. This is Aether's like big prediction for the year.
Okay, let's see it.
Yeah. Chargers win the AFC West. Chargers make it to the championship. Game with the Bills Mafia will move on to close the game that the Chargers use as motivation as hunger to come back to the Super Bowl next year. So thinks that we're going to get to the AFC West championship, but we're going to lose out to the Bills that game. And I think that's very possible, because we would have to go from West Coast to the East Coast in the freaking nice, cold Buffalo weather. Sheesh. That,
yeah.
That never works out too well
Yeah.
for us California boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's assuming that we play the Bills, right? They still gotta win out. They gotta still do their thing, and the Bills still gotta be the best. I mean, we could have a better record than the Bills, right? The Bills are playing, so you never really know how that plays out specifically.
Sure.
But there's a lot of assumptions in that question as well, too. Having said that, yes, I can see that happening for sure. I think the top 3 teams in the AFC are definitely probably the Bills, Chiefs, Chargers. I would agree with that 100%. So that's assuming a lot in that question as well, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Bills are playing pretty lights out, though, man. I mean, so I don't know, and their division is definitely way less talented than ours is now.
100%.
So, yeah. So I mean,
of course, the Raiders are looking pretty bad, and the Broncos are a disaster.
True. Yeah, exactly.
So really, the only 2 teams that matter are the Chiefs and Chargers, at least right now,
in our opinion. For sure. Yeah.
Interesting to see.
We're only really one game behind the Bills, if you really break it down. I mean, 4-2, we're tied with the Chiefs. They have the breaker because they beat us once. So, it's once again talking playoffs at week 7 is kind of a really not even really a topic of discussion per se right now. It's a goal to get to that point, but it would be pretty killer if we do find a way to get to the AFC Championship game. And I predicted that's where we're going to end up getting to. Now, it's a long season. We'll see what happens. It's a long season. So still very much a lot of football to play.
Well, and the good thing about this too, guys, too, right? Let's say we get Keenan Allen back for the bye. Again, I still don't think he'll play today. And I think that's just going to be a safety conversation. But, we should get Bosa back. Hopefully Mac is 100% healthy at the end of the season. Oh, my God. Think about Mac and Bosa being on the field at the same time. And if you see my Mac video that I talked about, what if Bosa and Mac were on the field up to this point? What if they had 6 sacks apiece?
Yeah,
guys, how amazing would that be? You cannot stop those guys, right? And so you're looking at 12 sacks with those 2 guys. We'd be looking at 20 sacks on the season so far, maybe with the Chargers at this point. And I mean, who knows where we would be?
Yep, agreed.
It's a bummer that he's not around, but it kind of is what it is, right? I mean, it's part of the end of managing injuries.
Yep. Exactly.
100%. Well, cool. Any last little thoughts then here too? You guys wrap this one up. I'll just start. Let's just play our game, and play what we could do. I think we need to run the ball. We need to run the ball. We need to pass the ball. We need to score touchdowns. Simple.
Right.
But I don't know. I think we just know their weaknesses, attack their weaknesses. Just do that and keep doing that over and over and over. So,
yep.
Andy, what's your thought?
Yeah, my thoughts. I would say this. I really want to see us run the ball well again. I've been frustrating. It's been frustrating to see. We got a spammer in our.
Got a spammer in here.
Got a sex spot.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, we'll try and block it here. It's a bit distracting. I want to see the running game step up, and I want to see our defense step up. Right. I don't think offensively they're that good as they've shown. Last week I said the same thing. I want to see a bounce back game from J.C. Jackson. My concern when we signed J.C. Jackson is he a system guy? Clearly, up to this point, he's shown that he's a system guy with Bill Belichick. I want him to prove that wrong today. I want him to show up and really lock down his guy and make it difficult for Geno to get the ball out of his hands. I want to see some sacks. I want to see us score some points. And I don't want to see a blowout, but I want to see us at least win by 10 points. I really want to see that. Yeah. I think we can do it. It's just, there's just pieces of our story that need to step up. JC's a big one for me. Other than that, I think we got a good game plan going into this game for sure. So, and I want to see Bandy and Isaiah Spiller have some good touches. That's the other thing I want to see. I want to see what these rookies can do. And, I'm hoping big things for those guys.
Zach, you're
Sorry,
gonna be
Zach.
single forever. Sorry, dude. Hey, you can check out those sex bots at some of the other streams, I guess, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's too funny, Zach.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Stupid sex bots.
Oh
Get out
man.
of here. What are your thoughts there, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, we just need to freaking ground and pound. Like, we got to get this thing happen. And honestly, I want to see another special teams play happen. A big thing right there, because like I was saying, like I would like to see a return for a touchdown, really bad. But actually, no, I'll take it back. The biggest thing that I want to see is I want to see an opening drive touchdown. Number one.
Yeah.
And number two,
bad at that.
If that's not going to happen, then I need to see a first quarter touchdown, because we haven't actually seen a first quarter touchdown from the Chargers at home since the Texans game. Or no, not the Texans. That was the Texans game, but that was at home. We haven't seen it since the Rams game in preseason. So I want to see that. We need to get our offense freaking better in gear in the first quarter right away. Other than that, it's always just been field goals. It's like we got to stop that. We need to get that momentum, get that confidence going into this game. That's my biggest thing right now.
Yep. I think that's a good way to do it, because I mean, last two games, we've been in deficits immediately. Like first quarter is getting scored 100%. On. We have to find a way to crawl back in, which once again, you love seeing that, because those are the games that Chargers find a way to lose. When we get scored on so quickly and we can't find a way to get back into the game. So yeah, absolutely. Great point, Kyle. Great point. So well, good. Well, I'm ready for this game. It's this afternoon. I think we're going to do a post game too later on tonight.
That's the plan.
I don't know what time we're kind of thinking about doing that.
But probably right after the game,
Yeah, right after the game. It'll probably be James and I, because Kyle can't hop in. Maybe we'll get Chargers defense to hop on with us. Maybe we'll shoot him a message, see if he wants to hop
Coach
on
wants to jump on
Coach.
there. Yeah,
Coach defense. Cool. Chargers defense. Coach defense. See if Coach wants to hop on. So or maybe Bolt Dad. We'll have a conversation about that. We'll maybe get a special guest. So that'll be fun.
Well, let's wrap up the show, guys. Once again, we're watching the Bolt Bros. My two bros. I'm James, Andrew, and Kyle are my real bros. So once again, guys, let's go get this win before the bye week, so we could go 5-2 for the bye week, which would be huge.
5-2 sounds way better than 4-3, boys.
I'll take it.
Right.
I'll take it
That's
all
right.
day.
All day.
All day. So once again, guys, let's enjoy the game. We'll talk with you guys after the game. Bolt Bros, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.